My mother got pregnant outside of marriage, and of course that was a big sin. And the priest in the parish got to hear about it and told her parents that it was an awful disgrace, that she couldn't be seen out because she'd be a bad influence. So they told her then that when the baby is due, that she was to be taken to Tuam, the home in Tuam, and the nuns would look after her there. Then they opened the door and told her she'll have to leave. And she said, I want my son. And they just closed the door on her face. And every week then she would walk in the centre of Tuam, out the Dublin Road, every week for 5.5 years, knocking on the door. I want to take my son out there. That's my son you have in there. I want to rear him. I want to look after him. And they said, no, he's got to be fostered out. And that was it.
I have no memories of it. I was there for 4.5 years.
There was a hedge each side of us and a crowd of us walking. That's the only memory I have.
I thought I was an animal at one stage. I used to get dreams at night that I was growing horns. And when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do, such a sigh of relief.
There was no love, there was no care. What happened in the home? You know, it can happen to you, that you can block things out at such a young age.
I suppose at the back of my mind, it was there in the subconscious, wondering about the children. I thought it would be just a simple history, the history of the Bon Secours sisters and how they worked and how they operated. I thought I'd go to the local library and thought I'd get a volume of information in the home to work on. There was absolutely nothing. So I went to the local people. I said, that's the best way to find out information. And locals were a bit hesitant to say, oh, the poor little children in there, so, you know, they were treated badly. An odd person to tell you they remember screaming in the home. It was still very much a hush-hush affair. But I was gathering all this information in the back of my mind and getting a picture. And it was only then I got the story of, back in the 1970s, that the two boys found bones of children in a tank.
I've often thought about it afterwards, like, you know, what did we come across? Like, it was a chamber, a H chamber, you know, and the amount of bones that were in it, there was a good few. Like what we came across in 1972 was reported, and the government knew about it, but yet they didn't do anything about it.
This whole story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had to follow it. I had to determine who was buried there. First of all, of course, I asked the Bon Secours sisters, and they said they had no knowledge or no records whatsoever of any burial in the home. And got on to the county council who owned the land then, and they had no records of burials either. So I wondered then, my thoughts went then to how many children actually died in the home. That's an inspector's report for the Tuam home from 1947. It shows the condition of the babies and toddlers, and it makes very harrowing reading. You have a 30-month-old baby in the care of Bon Secours sisters or a nursing congregation. You have a miserable, emaciated child with voracious appetite and no control over body functions, probably mentally defective. Wizened limbs, 3 months old, wizened limbs. 3 weeks old, emaciated and delicate. Oh, that was the Excel copy of the deaths of the babies and children. Unbelievable. Okay, all these deaths, where are they buried? They're not in the main Tuam graveyard. They're not in the mother's hometown graveyards. It is becoming quite obvious what had happened. At the time, there was a lot of questioning my findings, that it wasn't possible. And I was asking myself, is it the fact that there were illegitimate children? Is this stigma still around? That people just still don't care? It just made me more determined to fight this and to say, these children have to be there. People have to know about it.
Catherine contacted me and said, "Had you a sibling?" I said, "No, I never heard of." But according to go after finding here, she says there's a name.
Marion Bridget Mulryan was born to Peter's mother, Delia, in 1954. You can see it there. Same mother, same address.
She said, "Could be your sister."
Mulryan, 10 months.
1955, yeah?
1955.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. They said she died from convulsions, but there's no doctors to certify that she died or where she was buried. I couldn't find out where she was buried. To this day, I don't even know. She could be sold off to America, like a lot more was done.
It has been said that children were trafficked across to the United States. Of the 796 children, maybe some of those have been adopted illegally, and that is a very serious matter, if that is so.
We took their babies and we gifted them, or we sold them, or we trafficked them, or we starved them, or we neglected them, or we denied them, to the point of their disappearance from our hearts and from our sight, from our country, and in the case of Tuam, possibly other places, from life itself.
The state were complicit, of course they were. They were paying the sisters. Did the county council look into these burials? Did they not question what was happening to these children? Where were they? Did they care? Did they turn a blind eye?
And why did not one nun come forward and say, it was wrong what we did in Tuam?
For a person that was supposed to be baptised, they're not supposed to put into unconsecrated ground. Yes, what did the church do? Put them in there and went and covered up those sites and put a playground on top of it. How would they feel about it if it was their sister or brother that was in there?
The government is the government and the church is the church, and it's like knocking a brick wall, isn't it?
There's 7 years taken out of my life I don't know anything about. And it wasn't my fault that I came into this world. I didn't choose. I had no say in the matter. I just get the sense of the babies down there. They're there under me. And I feel if there's some way I could help them, just to get them out there and give them a proper burial. That's what I just love.
And you know, you cannot right wrongs, but things need to be recognised for what they were like.